Thanks for joining me this morning for Morning Flow. We'll start out seated. You don't have to sit just like this. Sit so that you're comfortable, whatever that looks like for you. And two things we'll focus on to start. Notice the grounding contact with the floor. Feel where everything's touching. And think about the length of your spine. Sit up tall without being rigid or stiff. Maybe think of the crown of your head rising towards the ceiling. And rest your hands as you like on your knees. Palms down for grounding, palms up for receptivity, or hands in your lap, hands on the floor, whatever works for you. Close your eyes if you like. And bring your attention to your breathing. And just by this shift of focus, your breath will, of its own accord, start getting deeper and slower. Making any adjustments you need to be comfortable. Sometimes what was comfortable a moment ago isn't comfortable anymore. We're not looking to be statues here, just finding some stillness to allow the mind to quiet down and the breath to deepen. And tapping into these feedback loops. Stillness in the body encourages quieter mind. Quieter mind helps with deeper breathing. And it's all connected, on and on. Observe the movements of your breath. And notice how those movements feel this morning. Where do you feel those nice deep inhales? Where do you feel the exhales? The general sort of rhythm of it is rising of the inhale, body expands, rooting down on the exhale as your body contracts. Let's see what else there is to feel. What's more specific to you? What's more granular? Do these deeper breaths bring up anything you hadn't noticed before? Scan your body, head to toe, or toe to head if you prefer. Just take in whatever there is to see. Checking in for what feels good and for what doesn't. Maybe making particular note of what doesn't so that you can keep it in mind as we practice. Making mental notes of any aches, any stiffness. Remember during practice that you're welcome to skip or modify anything that I'm doing, anything that I'm offering. Consider all the postures and movements to be suggestions. Everything's optional but the breathing, we like to say sometimes. As long as you keep breathing, you'll be fine. The more you can listen to your body, take what you want and leave the rest, the better able you'll be to find your way to the practice that's best for you. And perhaps in addition to these shared intentions of listening to our bodies and exercising this freedom to skip or modify and take care of ourselves, you may be in the habit of setting your own personal intention for your practice. If that's so, let your intention present itself and solidify and take root for a few breaths. Setting yet another reminder, another mental note. What point of focus can you come back to in addition to your breathing and noticing your body? With our intentions shared and individual in place, let's take 3 deep cleansing breaths before we start to move around. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth with a sigh. Let your eyes open if they're still closed. Let your chin fall towards your chest. We'll start at the top and work on the neck. Necks are often stiff in the morning. We'll make nice slow circles. Roll your ear towards your shoulder and let your head tip back. And just really take your time. And be mindful of letting the head do the movement. Sometimes as we roll our ear towards our shoulder, we start to lift our shoulder towards our ear. That's going to tense up the neck. We're looking to maybe release some tension here. So try to let your shoulders just hang. You may find that one hand position facilitates that more than others. I find if I rest my hands on the ground instead of in my lap or on my knees, then my shoulders can be more passive. If you find a tight spot, you might pause at the tight spot and rock back and forth. At some point, we change direction, take a few circles going the other way. And when you finish the next circle, lift your gaze and just look forward. Bring your hands to rest on your knees. We'll take some seated cow and cat movements. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head tip back. Exhale, draw your heart back, let your head tip forward and down. Follow your own breath. We don't have to go at the same pace. Use the whole inhale to go forward and the whole exhale to go back. Notice the breaths and the movements, maybe getting a little bigger with repetition. And then start to bring a circular movement in. So as you inhale, go over to one side as you come forward. Exhaling back, go to the other side. And try to stay rooted, grounded in your seat. Don't want to rock around too much or tip over. Try to let the heart be the center of the movement. Sometimes we let the head start waving around. That can also make you more tippy or make you dizzy even. At some point, change direction with these circles, as we did with the head circles. When you finish the next circle, sit up tall again. Bring your hands to rest at your sides, fingertips on the floor, staying long in the spine. Inhaling, reach your right arm up alongside your ear, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, reach to the left. Lean into your left hand. Feel for length from your right hip all the way up through those right fingertips, keeping the hand engaged. On an inhale, come upright again. As you exhale, we'll come into a seated twist. Bring your right hand to the floor behind you, left hand to the right leg. Inhale, find the length in your spine. Exhale, invite your body to twist some more. Check that out with each breath. Feel the lengthening of the inhale. Invite further twisting as you exhale. Let yourself unwind, face front again. Inhaling, lift your left arm up. And as you exhale, reach to the right, feeling full length all up and down the left side. Let your head be wherever your neck is comfortable. Inhale to come upright. And as you exhale, come into your other twist. Left hand behind you, right hand to left leg. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, twist some more. See how much feels like enough. Unwind, come back to center. Grab one of your legs, doesn't matter which one, I'm just grabbing the one that's in front because my legs are crossed. And hold your leg with the arm on the same side. With your other hand, interlace your fingers between your toes, not neglecting the smallest finger and the smallest toe, which sometimes I need my other hand to do, the big hands. Support the weight of your leg with this hand. Let your ankle be slack and passive. Make some nice slow circles with your foot. Roll your ankle around. Lots of little bones in the foot, in the ankle. Finding a little more room in there. Change direction. Make a few slow, gentle circles the other way. You may or may not get those sound effects. I don't know if that's coming through the mic. There's tendonitis in this ankle, I'm told. Makes a little click on each circle, doesn't hurt. Release your toes. Support your leg with both hands, however you want to go. This grip works for me, might not work for you. But let the leg hang in the hip socket. Make some slow, easy circles with your leg, rocking your femur in your hip socket. This is the biggest joint in your body, ball and socket joints. Take some circles in the other direction. And let that leg down. Hoist the other one. Get your fingers between your toes. Nice slow circles with this foot. Roll this ankle around. Loosen it up. Letting your arm do the work. Letting your foot be limp. Taking some circles in each direction. So we let one body part support another. Let the one we're opening be passive. We get different results than with a more active sort of stretching. That doesn't feel the same as if you go like this with your ankle, because you're letting your hand and your arm do the work. Support the leg with both hands, both arms, however the grip works for you. Nice slow circles with the leg. And again, we can make circles with our leg like this. When we get into downward facing dog and three-legged dog, we might circle our leg around. This circle feels different from that circle because my arms are doing the work and my leg is just hanging out, enjoying the support. One body part saying to another, I got you. Take a break. Let that leg down. Let's come up onto our hands and knees. Maybe you tip forward, maybe you tip to the side, however you want to get here. Maybe you take a sip of your water on the way. Open your hands way up. Feel the whole palms on the ground. Bring your shoulders above your wrists and your hips above your knees. And we'll take a few cow and cat breaths here the traditional way. Inhale, bring your heart forward, let your head and tailbone go up. Exhale, bring your heart up, let your head and tailbone come down. Following the pace of your own breath as before. No need to be in sync with anyone else. Letting the heart lead the movement. letting the nice curves of the spine move the head and the tail. After your next exhale, come back to table with your spine neutral. Reach your right foot back and press the ball of your foot into the floor. Take a couple breaths, just letting your leg lengthen. You might feel a sensation of opening and settling in that hip. With an inhale, pick your foot up, reach straight back in the air. Think of making a footprint on the wall behind you. With your next inhale, reach your left arm out to the side like you want to tap the other wall with those fingertips. If you like here, you might go further by bending that raised leg, reaching that hand back, and maybe connecting with your foot or your ankle. If you connect, kick against your hand, lift your knee, lift your gaze, opening the midline and the shoulder and stretching the right quads. Release your bind if you've got one. Let your knee and your hand come back down. Reach back and press into the ball of your left foot and take a couple of breaths. On an inhale, pick your foot up and reach straight back. On an inhale, reach your right arm to the side. If you set up too close to the wall like I did, you might just bend your elbow or reach your hand forward. If you like, bend that leg. If you like, reach back, see about taking that bind. Kick against your hand if you connect, look forward. Release, lower down. Now let's start to stand up. Step your right foot up between your hands and step your left foot up to meet it. Forward fold, head and arms hanging heavy, knees bending and straightening, sway back and forth. Maybe your hands drag on the ground or hang in the air. Many like to hold their elbows like this or clasp hands at the base of the skull for some neck traction like that. Explore whatever degree of movement feels good to you with your legs and with the swaying back and forth. Let your arms hang down if they're doing something else. And slowly shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Inhale, lift up halfway, rest your hands on the front of your legs and push. Feel for the crown of your head reaching forward away from your tailbone. Arms helping your spine lengthen out parallel to the ground. With an exhale, relax down, soft knees. Inhale, roll slowly to standing. Bring your hands up overhead, hands together. Exhaling, bring your hands to your heart. And let your hands hang at your sides. Raise your left shoulder towards your ear and slide it back and let it down. And then your right shoulder up and back and down. Inhale to reach out toward the walls. As you exhale, reach for your shoulder blades and hug yourself, or if you like, come to eagle arms. Intertwine your arms, press your palms together. If you take an eagle, lift your elbows and your hands up and out. Inhaling, spread your wings. As you exhale, cross your arms the other way. Take hold of your shoulder blades and hug yourself, or take eagle. Lifting hands and elbows up and out if you're in eagle. Inhale, open up. Exhale, let your arms come down. Inhale, arms out and up overhead. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms up. Look up at those hands and lift up your heart. Maybe your hips drift forward, your hands and your head drift back some more. Bend as much as you want. With an inhale, bring yourself upright. As you exhale, bend to the left, feel for length through both arms. Try not to let the right shoulder curl forward past the ear or let the right heel lift off the ground. Inhale, come on up. And as you exhale, bend to the right. Inhale to come up. Exhale to let your arms come down. Let's start into some sun salutations. I'm just going to give a side view. Inhale, your arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward, soft knees. Inhale to lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. Plant your hands and step back to plank. Or maybe you walk your hands forward to plank, depending on how you set up in your space with your camera and all that. Find a good solid plank shape. Feel into it for a couple of breaths. Hips coming down in line with shoulders and heels. Or if you opt for a shorter plank, shoulders and knees. On an exhale, slowly come all the way down. Keep your elbows in close to your body. See how slow you can go. Don't stop breathing. Maybe you take another breath. If you go really slow, maybe you take 2 more breaths. Let everything down. Come down on your belly, untuck your toes, rest your chin. Press into your hands. Inhale, lift your head and chest to whatever height of heart opener works for you on the first go through. Maybe it's a low cobra, maybe it's higher. When you're ready, it can be an upward facing dog. Exhaling, rock back, maybe pass through table. Slowly make your way to downward facing dog. And walk your dog, pedal your feet up and down. Heels getting closer and closer to the ground. Everything in the back of the body lengthening out. Grounding in the hands and feet. Tailbone up. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward. Exhale, step or hop forward. Or you may be stepping your hands back to meet your feet. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, come down. Inhale all the way up, arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale down. Make your way to your plank. We won't stay as long. On an exhale, lower, maybe just halfway this time. Elbows in. Inhale, bring your heart forward, cobra or up dog. Exhale, back and up to downward facing dog. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward, step or hop forward. Maybe you like hopping. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale down. Make your way to your plank. Exhaling, lower halfway. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, back and up. Make your way to forward fold again. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands up. Pausing for a drink. Take a drink anytime you need a drink. Hands at your heart. We'll start to play with some lunges. Step your left foot back, plant the ball of your foot. Find this high lunge. Front knee can be above or behind the front ankle. Don't send it forward past your ankle with your center of gravity this high. You can hyperextend your knee. If the high lunge is too much, you might drop the back knee down, uncurl the back toes. Here it's okay if your knee goes forward past your ankle because your center of gravity is lower. You're going to do a rocking movement in the hips like this. You exhale, sink forward. Inhale, glide back up. So I'm letting my foot come forward so I don't hyperextend my knee. I'm deepening my stance a little. Movement in the legs can be as big or small as you want. And you can add in an arm movement. You can bring your arms up. As you exhale, sink forward, draw your arms down. Maybe cactus or maybe arms parallel to the ground. Inhale, glide up and reach up. And from the top of the movement, we'll take twist. Reach your right hand forward, reach your left hand back, twist to the left. Come back through center, arms up or hands at heart. And exhaling, twist to the right. Back through center. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a big step forward, maybe more than one step. Step your right foot back, find your other lunge, find steadiness in your feet and legs. And let's start again with just the hip movement. Exhaling, sink forward. Inhaling, glide up. And maybe adjusting the depth of stance. Feeling into how much movement in each leg feels good on this side. Remembering you can always drop the back knee if needed. When you're ready, you can bring your arms up. Start to add that movement in. Exhaling down and inhaling up. Twist to the right. Come back through center and twist to the left. Come back through center. Bring your hands to your heart and step forward. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Make your way to a plank. When you're ready, exhale halfway down. Inhale to bring your heart forward. Exhale back and up. Inhaling, lift your left leg up high behind you. Keep the leg long, stack the hip above the right hip, look under your left arm. Square your hips down again. Exhaling, draw your knee towards your left elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach up again. Exhale, draw your knee towards your right elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower your leg. Inhale, bend knees, look forward. Exhale, step or hop forward. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, down. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, down. Make your way to plank. If your arms get tired, you can always go right from plank to down dog. Otherwise, exhale halfway down. Inhale, come forward. It's nice to have options. Exhale, back to down dog. Inhale, raise your right leg. Stack your hips and look under your right arm. Square your hips down. Exhale, draw your knee towards your right elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, draw your knee towards your left elbow and take a breath. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, lower your leg. Take 3 cleansing breaths. Let your knees down. Make your way to child's pose. Bring your big toes to touch. Widen the knees if you like. Sit back towards your heels. You might walk your hands forward and let your head come down to the ground. Or stack your hands, rest your forehead on your hands. You might put a prop under your head if it doesn't quite reach the floor. You might reach your hands back by your feet to let your shoulders disengage. Check in with your body, check in with your breath, check in with your intention. If you reached your hands back by your feet, bring them forward again. Inhale, slowly come up through table, just sort of loosely through table. And slowly back to downward facing dog. When you're ready, press back and up. Nod your head. Shake your head. Walk your hands back to your feet. Forward fold. Knees soft, arms hanging heavy like ropes. Let your arms swing front to back. Let your knees be bouncy. Let the weight of your arms pick up momentum. Let the swinging get bigger. When you have a nice full swing going, let your arms swing up overhead, sit back to chair. Reaching up, releasing down, sinking, just releasing into the floor, releasing front of hips, back of knees, front of ankles, shoulders melting down a little bit away from the ears while the hands are reaching up. Staying with your breath. Inhale, slowly stand. Exhale, let your arms come down. The best thing I ever learned about chair pose is focusing on the hips, thinking of the release in the hip sockets. So you can find your hip sockets with your thumbs if you like. They're right there, just either side of your pubic bone. And if you push your thumb into the joint, it's like taking a parking brake off of your car. That's what lets the hips release. The knees start to go, the butt goes back. And you can find your way into chair pose just that way by doing the legs first. Press into the hip sockets and find the seat. Arms hang, then inhale, reach up. And you might be a little lower than you were before, having done that. Maybe you haven't done that before. Well, check out a twist. Bring your hands to your heart, press your hands together, and keep them centered on your chest. Keep your knees lined up with each other. Maybe look at your knees. And explore the twist without losing the alignment. So keeping the hands centered and the knees lined up with each other. Exhaling, twist to the left any amount without losing that alignment. So sometimes when you get to a deeper twist, we might do this and bring the elbow outside the knee. But see, the hands stay centered, the knees stay lined up. So don't get too hung up about getting your elbow over here if it's going to sacrifice the alignment. If you get here and you want, you might spread your wings. And it feels nice when you can do it, but some days we can't do it. If you spread your wings, bring your hands back together, slowly with control. Inhale back through center. Exhale, twist to your right. Keeping hands centered on the chest, keeping knees lined up with each other. If you get your elbow hooked and you want, you might spread your wings. Opens the lungs up, lets you take a deeper breath. If you spread your wings, bring your hands back to your heart. Inhale back through center slowly with control. Exhale, fold. Take another one of those breaths. Inhale, roll up to standing, hands up overhead. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And we'll play with some variations on this now. Reach your arms forward. Some like to call it zombie chair. If zombies freak you out, you might think sleepwalker. And with your arms extended like that, sit back into chair pose. Same action in the legs, just doing something different with their arms here. And we'll explore some arm movements here. Bring your hands in under your arms, reach them back past your hips, palms down. Bring your hands in under your arms, reach them out to the sides, palms down. Bring your hands in under your arms, reach them up overhead. Inhale, stand. Exhale, arms down. One more variation. Reach your arms forward and lift your heels. Come up on the balls of your feet. Didn't know you could do yoga with heels on. I haven't actually. Then sit back to a seat with your heels raised if you can. And if you can't, just let your heels down and do what we were just doing. If you shake, that means you're human. Everybody shakes when you do this. Now, if you can, inhale, stand, heels still raised. Then let the arms down, then slowly let the heels down. What control can you muster there? How slow can you go to strengthen that slowness? Maybe shake things out. Now, you can also do that. I didn't bring blocks over here with me. We'll just pretend. You could do that same thing with one block here between the knees on the middle position and one block between the hands on the line position. Oh, look, here's 2 blocks. Let's just grab these since they're close by. I was thinking I didn't want to go across the room, but they're right here. If we play with this, do the same thing we just did. And if you don't have blocks, you can do it again without them, but it's a different kind of feeling, something to explore. You can lift the heels, and you can sit back like that. A dear friend in Boston, who's also a private client, said this reminded him of, there's an iconic photo of one of the British princesses who's holding a child in her arms, and she's crouching to speak to another child in a stroller. And so I forget, he had a name for this. He used her title, called this the Grand Duchess chair or something like that. Reminded him of that princess holding the kid and crouching to speak to the other kid. Inhale, slowly stand, keep the heels raised if you can. Exhaling, hands come down. Slowly let the heels down. And remove the block. Now, if you tried that both ways, next time you can choose whether you use blocks or not. I don't know about you, and I need a drink after all that chair exploration. And then we can have a seat. Because it's time and because the legs need a break now. So let's have a seat and bring the soles of your feet together, leaving a big space between pelvis and heels. If there's room to do so, slide your hands under your ankles, grab the floor. If there isn't room for you to do that, you can go over your ankles and walk your hands forward Make yourself into a pretzel here. And let your neck disengage, let your head drop towards the floor. Breathe into the center of your lower back. And slowly start to scoot your hands back. Press up to a seat. Keep your feet together, but now bring them in as close as you can. Interlace your fingers over the tops of your toes. Wriggle on your seat. Let the bones in your seat get closer to the ground and tilt your pelvis. And I actually give you another view on this so you can see what I'm saying about the spine as we move on from here. So inhale, lengthen up through the crown of your head, get real tall. As you exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward, letting your spine stay long as you come down at first. See how far down the long spine will go. And when you're not lowering anymore, then let your head go. Let your neck relax. Breathe into your hips. Maybe nudging your legs down and your hips open with your elbows, depending on where your arms land and how your hips feel. Inhale, slowly sit up and let your arms help your legs. Bring your hands to the outsides of your knees. Nudge your knees towards each other. Spin back to the camera. Rest your hands out by your hips. Wiggle your feet further apart. If you're on a mat, maybe just to the edges of the mat. And just let your knees go back and forth. See how far they want to go. I think of this as touring the space you cleared in your hips. It's okay if your knees don't go down to the floor. See where they want to go. You might, as your knees go to one side, turn your head to the other side. If you want a bigger movement, you feel more energized, you might, as the knees go down, sweep this hand up and lift the hips. Try that out. That could be fun. Some days. Depends on what's going on in your body. When my low back is bothering me, this is not fun. I don't do it when my low back is bothering me. We'll set up and do bridge pose. We can use blocks to help us in bridge too. It's okay if you don't have blocks. I'm never going to do anything that you absolutely have to have blocks for because not everyone's got blocks at home. You can set a block between your feet like that on the middle position like you did between your knees. That's about the same space as there is between your hip sockets. If you don't have blocks, you can do it with your hands and look at that. That's about the same space as the width of the block. Now I'm going to take the block out of there and just leave that much space. Bring my hands behind me, scoot towards my heels, come down onto my forearms and onto my back, and I'm keeping my blocks nearby because there's some other things we can do with them. You want your heels as close to your butt as you can get them. You might put a block between your knees like we did on that last chair variation, just as a spacer so the knees stay hip width apart just like the ankles are, because we just set our ankles hip width apart. Press into the soles of your feet. Inhale to press your hips up. That's basic bridge pose. If you want to go further here, opening the heart, you can wriggle your shoulder blades towards each other under you. Clasp your hands beneath your sacrum and extend your knuckles towards your heels.
Please stop.
I know you're talking to somebody else.
Oh, my dog. I should have muted.
I figured it was a dog. It's okay. If you're clasping your hands, release them. Exhaling slowly, let your hips down. When I'm practicing on camera, I can't even have my dogs in the room. And we'll explore bridge some more. Inhale to lift up. Exhale to come down. To challenge yourself more, go higher.
or go slower, or both. Or take extra breaths at the top. If you like, you might repeat, wriggling your shoulder blades in, clasping your hands, reaching your knuckles towards your heels. And if you want, you might take a supported bridge, best done with a block. You lift up, put a block under your sacrum, come down and land on it, and you just hang out on the block. If you don't have blocks, you might do it with a pillow or a bolster. I've even seen folks just put their hands under there, stack their hands, come down on the back of the hands. Not at all the same as a block or a bolster, but it's a little elevation, a little support. It may or may not feel good for you and your hands. I'm going to take a few more breaths in my supported bridge. You might be floating up and down. So you can explore bridge in active or passive ways. And let's wrap it up in the next couple of breaths. So I'm going to lift up, get my block out of here, slowly come down on that last exhale, nice and slow. Maybe pause for a couple of breaths after you land. And we'll move the blocks out of the way because we'll do a twist. If you set your blocks down in the wrong spot, they get in the way of the twist. So I'm going to go with crossed knees. So if you can, cross your left knee over your right knee. If that doesn't work for you, you might cross your ankle over your knee. Do this instead. This is this leg configuration, the figure four legs, is an energizing twist. If you can cross your knees, you get deeper into the low back and outer hip, but not everyone can cross their knees like that. Reach your arms out to the sides, straight out if there's room, bend the elbows. If not, feel your shoulder blades press to the ground. Your shoulder blades will press to the ground with your arms bent or straight. And you want to keep the shoulder blades on the ground. Let your legs fall to the right and turn your head to the left, keeping your shoulders grounded. And don't worry about how far your legs go. And you just breathe, always breathing, of course, letting the breath wring you out in the twist. Get into different positions, and the breath does different things. Maybe on the exhales, your legs drop a little more, find some more release here or there. Slowly come back up to center. Cross your legs the other way. And we'll take our other twist. Legs go to the left and head goes to the right. Letting your breath wring you out. Slowly bring it all back to center and uncross your legs. Bring your knees towards your chest, hug your knees. Explore rocking and rolling to massage your back against the ground. Whatever type of movement, whatever degree of movement feels good to you. And bring your knees in by your chest. Reach your feet up towards the ceiling. Reach your hands up, take hold of your legs or your feet, however you like. Play with bending and straightening your arms and legs. Exploring movement now in happy baby pose. Whatever movements feel good to you. It's a good idea every day to invert Inverting just means bringing legs and feet higher than heart. And this is one of the simplest and gentlest ways to do it. It's pretty accessible. Almost everyone can do this. If there's another inversion that you like to practice, you can go ahead and practice it. Maybe you're partial to shoulder stands or plow or headstands or legs up the wall. It can be nice to come next to the wall or next to a piece of furniture and let the wall or the furniture hold your legs up and skip the moving around part. Just let the legs rest on something. Letting your lower extremities get some nice, healthful drainage, reversing some of the effects of gravity. Things accumulate in the legs and feet in all the hours we spend standing, sitting, walking. Let some of that stuff drain out. When you feel complete with inverting, if there are any other postures or movements you want to add in, so you'll feel more complete in your practice, feel free to do so before making your way to your final resting pose. And maybe that standard Shavasana corpse pose with your legs extended, feet splayed open, hands resting on the ground outside of your hips. But it's more important to be comfortable than to be in corpse pose. So if corpse pose isn't comfortable, please get comfortable. If it bothers your low back to lie flat like this, you can take pressure out of your low back by planting the soles of your feet. Maybe let the knees lean towards each other. That's one option. It might feel nice to bring the soles of your feet together like we did with a couple of our folds. Let the knees splay open. That takes some pressure out of the low back and gets us some hip opening. If you opt for that, you might opt for putting blocks between the ground and the outside of your knees, making the posture more passive. Sometimes we start practice in this one. Whatever is comfortable for you. You can conclude your practice in quiet stillness and whatever posture works for you. Letting your breath slow down, letting remaining excess tension melt away. Perhaps focusing on breathing or reflecting on an intention that you had set, or just letting your mind go, not thinking about anything in particular, not worrying if a thought comes. We can drive ourselves a little cuckoo trying not to think of something. Thoughts will come and go. You might picture them as clouds drifting on the breeze. Each one will be there as long as it will be there. It'll move on, and at some point another one may come by. Or perhaps the sky will clear for a bit. You can always tune me out. You might find it nicer to turn your sound off or down for Shavasana. Maybe your practice is a nice prelude to a nap. Sometimes I like to share something else to reflect on, so I'm just going to get something to share, and you don't have to listen to it.
I'll just read this short passage. You might use it as something to reflect on, or you might just tune me out. That's fine. And this is from Sudhir Jonathan Faust. Every meditation technique has one object as its focal point that you return to again and again. It could be the breath, a mantra, a thought, a sensation, a prayer. Having sensation in the body as the focal point is a powerful doorway for the mind to be drawn inside. The first level is concentration, or dharana. I see this as being one-pointed, and it is very much associated with the linear mind. We naturally move into altered states, and sometimes we will experience dhyana, or what could be called one flowingness. And in this flowingness, we become more aware of the field in which the thoughts are arising. And that's just a little something I randomly selected opening Rolf Gates' book, Meditations from the Mat, to day 336, which is not even what day it is. I just decided to go randomly today instead of picking today's reading. And the book goes on to reflect more on that. And today I opted not to choose that elaboration, but to just allow a little more silent time for you. Start to give yourself some deeper breaths. Invite small movements to return to your body. Going slowly, whatever movements feel good to you. Let them gradually grow bigger and lead to bigger and bigger movements. Take your time moving mindfully and gently to eventually sit yourself up. If you like, you're welcome to stay where you are. Maybe you turned your volume off. Maybe you're napping. Checking in with the people who are with me live on screen. If you like, bring your hands up by your heart. Thank you for sharing practice today. The light within me sees and honors, bows to that same light within each of you. Namaste. Please check out the rest of our schedule. We have classes every day, urbanyoga.org, or Kristen Olson's Urban Yoga Center on Facebook. And please be sure to visit the digital tip jar there and help support us in these Zoom classes by making a contribution via PayPal or Zelle or Venmo. And always welcome questions and feedback. That's not just for the people here live, but for anyone watching on YouTube later, you're welcome to leave comments. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.